Hello and welcome to this NivTut on getting started in World of Warcraft. This is a real beginner's guide. If you're past character creation, you're not going to get much from this video, but if you're thinking about getting the game or really need help starting out, this video should help you. So when you first log into the game, you should get met with a screen like this. What you really want to be looking at is the population. What I'd recommend really is going on a server that's either full, kind of a gamble you might not always be able to get on, or high. I like to play on high servers. They got good economy, good number of people playing, so groups are easy. Whereas recommended servers and new players servers, they're really quite deceiving, because on new players servers the groups at 85 are terrible, and so you pretty much have to buy a server change, and people won't be able to help you while you're leveling because they'll all be incompetent at the game, basically. So I'd recommend starting out on a high or full if you're willing to gamble, or even a medium server. But what you want to make sure before you make your realm selection is to Google the realm and find the alliance to horde ratio. If you're planning on making an alliance character on a realm like Kazakh there, you're gonna be stepping in some deep doo-doos there, because Kazakh is a very strongly horde populated realm, and being alliance on there is not going to be any fun. So once you've sort of made the choices whether you're going to be alliance or horde, go ahead and choose your server. I'm just going to go on Kazakh here. I've got this over here because I'm showing you this video on a trial account so that I can show you what everything looks like before you've got anything on your account, basically. So you should get the option here to create a new character. Because I chose Kazakh, I'm going to be choosing a horde character, and then you get to this sort of screen. The difference between the alliance and the horde is purely lore. That's like story and character sort of development individually, and geographical locations. Some people might tend to say that the alliance are good and the horde are bad, but really I don't actually think that's the case. If anything, I'd say the sort of morals of the horde are a lot stronger than the alliance. The horde sort of want to rid Azeroth of all the bad people and things that are corrupting the world, whereas the alliance sort of just want to kill anything that isn't either a human, a dwarf, a night elf, a gnome, a draenei, or a worgen, which isn't very friendly. So yeah, purely indifferent in their morals, really. No one's good or bad, they're just both different. The orcs are they're like aliens, I suppose. They moved to Azeroth through the Dark Portal under the influence of the Burning Legion. And the undead, they are sort of traditional zombies that you would find in most games, just you can control them, and they all follow their leader, Sylvanas Windrunner. They're basically humans, probably, that died and then they've been resurrected by Sylvanas as a way to originally escape the Lich King, and now just because she can, and she's a boss like that, so she resurrects the undead. Tauren, or sort of the friendliest, I'd say, of the horde side. They believe strongly in nature and balance and protection and things like that, and they really want to just keep the earth happy and healthy. Don't want anything to go wrong, so if something bad happens, they'll try and kill it. But they like animals, basically. They're a bit hippie. Trolls, they're very sort of ancestral. They believe strongly in stories and things like that. Very sort of voodoo-like, although voodoo is considered bad in troll society. Yeah, they're pretty much hippies again. Blood elves, these guys are originally alliance, who, when their sacred thing, the Sunwell, got destroyed, they kind of got a bit annoyed, and blood elves are basically high elves that corrupted themselves. So yeah, now they fight for the horde. on a trial account I can't actually be a goblin, but goblins basically, Deathwing destroyed their island, and they decided to team up with the Horde, but there are still some neutral goblins in the game. Humans are just your sort of average, normal humans that you get in any game, really. They're a really young race, but they've developed a hell of a lot. Dwarves, they love money, they love metal, and they're sort of the protectors, I suppose. They're one of the oldest races in the game, and you can actually read up on all of the lore of the races in this little side panel thing here. So yeah, it says there that dwarves are archaeologists. Night elves are a very old race, one of the sort of classic races of Warcraft, been in every game. They're basically, they worship their god. They like night, as you'd expect from night elves. Their god is a goddess of the moon, and so they're very, as you can see here, what is it, a light well or a moon well? That's the one. They're basically like nighttime hippies. They're kind of similar to the Tauren, except obviously they're with the Alliance. Gnomes, these guys are crazy. Everyone hates them. You walk up to a gnome, you pretty much have to kick it. But they're very clever. They're sort of mages traditionally, as you'd expect from a gnome sort of class, really. Their city was destroyed, and then suddenly in Cataclysm managed to get it back. They used to share the starting area with the dwarves, but now they've managed to reclaim Gnomeregan, or not if you're leveling in the instance. The often mispronounced Draenei were fleeing their homeworld of Argus when their ship went out of control and crashed into the Azimist Isles. Their ship's now their capital city, and it's called the Exodar, and you'll find lots and lots of Draenei. Lol joke, you'll find 3 Draenei there all the time, and they like the Naru. And Worgen, they are humans who were bitten by another Worgen, and then they turned into Worgens, kind of like werewolves, but not werewolves. Don't call them werewolves because that's just sad. Worgen are pretty cool. One of my favourite Alliance races, actually, as they got some nice lore, nice animations. So basically the classes. Let me just try and find someone who can be as many classes as possible, I think. Who can be the most? Troll can be pretty much anything. Right. So you got warriors, traditional damage dealers, get in there with a sword, no magic involved. They just bash people's faces off. Quite a good starter class, as they're pretty easy to play low level, and then gradually get more complex as you progress through the game. Hunters are also a good starting class because they have a pet which can do most of the damage and tanking while you're leveling solo. People say they don't take much skill to play. That could be true, but once you basically, they're easy to play, hard to play well. That's sort of what hunters are about, is that anyone can play them, but to actually be any good, you need some proper good damn skill. Rogue, my favourite class. Stealth, daggers, stuns, all that stuff. Rogues just kick out a massive load of damage, but are very, very squishy. If anyone turns around and starts punching a rogue, they're most likely going to win unless the rogue can control them and get back behind them. Priests, your sort of standard healers, most common. They can either heal through, like healing, casting magic spells on people, or they can heal through like shielding people and doing damage to enemies that then heals the allies, or they can sort of be evil priests and cast shadow magic, and that's got a really cool spell effect. It makes the priest purple, and they do some quite nice damage right now. Shamans are pretty much the race that a class that ties in well with trolls actually, as they believe once again in their ancestors, stories, elements. They're very heavily elemental, as well. That's one of the specs, but they have totems like fire, earth, air, and water, that sort of thing. Quite difficult to play solo. They're probably not a recommended starting class. Mage. Arcane mages are known as a one-button class. Don't really take one button to play, but people say they do, because you can just spam a button and do some quite nice damage. They're sort of your standard caster, use mana as a resource. They can make their own food and water, and they can control enemies through like changing them into a sheep, which is kind of random. And warlocks, a bit like shadow priests, although they have a pet like a hunter. They can sort of specialize in like bringing fire down on the ground and destroying everything, that sort of thing, or they can choose to make their pets really strong and sort of just kill everything through that, really. And druids are a bit like shamans in the fact that they heal, I suppose, and they sort of quite similar classes, although druids can shapeshift and turn into different sort of animals and creatures like a bear or a tiger or a cheetah or a seal. God knows why you can be a seal. Paladins, they're your sort of holy version of warriors, I guess. They're like your traditional knights who wear armor and go smite evil things and sort them out and make everything in the world happy and dandy, but really they're just a bunch of noobs. Nah, I kid. Anyone can play a paladin. They're a pretty cool class. I do enjoy playing them myself. And finally we have Death Knights. Death Knights are a sort of weird cross between warriors, paladins, and warlocks. They're like warriors because, well, as you can probably see from what's on the screen, they fight in heavy plate armor with a sword, kick out massive amounts of damage, and use runic power, which is a bit like rage. They're like paladins because they're pretty much the opposite. They still fight in the same sort of way using a lot of magic, just they fight for sort of in a dead, undead sort of way, which is basically what the paladins hate and try and get rid of. And they're like warlocks because they put dots up on every single enemy, rely heavily on, shadow, dark magic, that sort of thing. They're a special class in that you only unlock them once you manage to level a character to 55, which really isn't much struggle at all. Once you reach level 55, you can create them on any realm. You can have one Death Knight per realm, and that's pretty cool. And then, basically, to sum it all off, this is your character customization. So you could be a Tauren, and you can change here the gender of your character, and then these buttons here fiddle with how your character looks. Then you can just name your character. Oodle diddle doo. Okay, that didn't turn out as well as I hoped. Boodle doo. That's how I generally name my characters, just face roll and then edit it. No, that looks too much like Jamaica. That's cool. You do that, you press enter, and then you're playing the game. There is a trial for WoW if you're considering playing but don't actually want to commit straight away. Not going to watch that cinematic. And hello all my add-ons. Don't need any of those. These things won't appear for you. Your UI will look a little bit different because I'm using add-ons. Add-ons are completely allowed in WoW, and they help a lot. Once you get to higher level stuff, you'll need add-ons. So basically this is how you start up in WoW. From beyond here, you might like to check out a leveling guide, or just make your own way. Start by clicking the guy with an exclamation mark over his head where you start, and that should set you off playing the game. So leave your feedback in the comments section below. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.